honestly, when it comes to being a influencer or a creator or whatever, it is not a job career I feel like any kids shouldn't inspire with, which bothers me since there's a huge amount of generations of many new generations of kids or whatever you want to call them that generally has too much like obsession over this type of career, even though it's unattainable. Simply because when it comes to trying to be an influencer or a creator, you have to put a lot of sacrifice and time when it comes to this, since it's heavily dictated on various factors. One, are you ambitious with this? Two, do you have like any aspects that makes you interesting and engaging to come with? Some people have this, some people don't. Some people can be stupidly funny. Some people can be very much, could bring up interesting topics and conversations, or have certain oddities that generally makes them fascinating since no one behaves the way they do. Like lolcows, even though that's a very different like territory who don't count as creators since that's something else. But the point generally is some people have the talent to really get people's attentions and some people don't. There are ways you can get around with it, like with technology. Like if you have a shitty ass voice like I do, who sound like, because I sound like a fucking geek. You have AI voices that can actually, you know, sound, you can use as a voice to actually make you sound interesting and be engaging, or but you don't have to talk at all, but it generally depends on really if you're able to actually go through this type of interest, because not a lot of people I've seen could actually really do this, because it really requires sacrifice, patience, and timing. You also have to understand how these platforms work. If this was TikTok, then your videos isn't gonna last. Shorts on TikTok are just kind of like like a moment, like a small glimmer of it being noticed. Like, and the reason I say this is that you want your shorts to be remembered and something people keep coming back to, and then just seeing once and moving on. Like my gun video shorts, like popped up really quick, but it immediately stopped. You don't see people coming back to it anymore. It's the same thing when it comes to if you're making tons of shorts on that platform. You have to really be committed. You have to make them stand out. You have to give them more motivations to come back for your content. It's kind of like, say, like sports. Every sports like event is always interesting and engaging because it's always different outcomes, different events. People always keep coming back for what there is to offer. But when it comes to a person, you can't just keep doing the same thing. You can't even do the same thing that's very popular or trendy. Oh, trendy things, I don't even say you should take a risk in, because even if you did them, it's not going to blow up extremely. Most of all, it generally says a lot about you, because after all, following trends means a lack of identity. You will follow anything that's generally popular, and you generally won't have full success. You'll make tons of money off of doing this, because after all, trends are endless and it's always constantly being made, whether it be YouTube, Twitter, or any other platforms. But you generally would never be satisfied. No one is satisfied making easy, cheap money on any of these platforms. Like, it's the reason no one ever does content farms unless you're in it for the buck. But the point generally is that trying to make it anywhere on the platform like Twitter, like TikTok, is impossible. Like, it's very far more ruthless than YouTube, since it requires dedication, hard work, understanding how long people's attention spans when it comes to this, and if they show willingness to come back. When it comes to YouTube, it's more forgiving, because YouTube actually, is something people will come to. Like, people watch longer content videos. People tend to watch them when they're actually watching that static when they play games or anything. Like, I do that. When I'm bored or bored, I listen to something while I'm playing so I can get information and vice versa. And that gives you a lot more luxury, because you have time to edit, to work on it, the voice, to gather information, to write a script, and so on. But other people aren't so lucky to have such luxuries. Like when it comes to streaming, it's even worse. You have to stay alive constantly. You only have certain sect, certain days or certain moments in your schedules where you don't have to do that. And things are always live. You're gonna make mistakes, and that's inedible. And anything can happen. It's very much a hard, very hard one to do. If you're doing it just for fun, then I think you're fine. You know you're doing this for fun, so you probably can make it if you just keep trying. But if you're really like adamant to make this a job, you're not gonna succeed unless you are well aware of all the pressures and issues that comes with it. Especially depending on the platform you do it. If it's YouTube, you're practically fine. But if it's on Twitch, then it's going to be very unforgiving unless you're a woman, because women do have far more favoritism on that platform. But I do feel like most people can actually succeed, since there are some sects of people that just can't actually make it work due to them do work, but a lot of people just not so much. And you're always going to be in the background. But YouTube is the only one I can generally see any person can succeed, since you get a lot more time to work on your content, and to do research, while also allowing you to patiently study and gauge how people behave and what they do. Because I'm not joking with what the systems that they offer. It's pretty helpful, and you can actually get a clear idea and directions and things. It's a kind of like a waiting game, like fishing. You just be patient, understand how a fish behaves, what this and that, and you can actually make it pretty far if you understand this and that. Most of all, separate people who watch your content for you and people who just watch something just because for the hell of it. Because after all, you have to try to please both these individuals. If you only please one, people will leave you neatly for other people who can make better content than you. Like top 10, not top 10, Watch Mojo. Like Watch Mojo heavily followed trends and heavily did the whole top 10 stick. But when they stopped, making it up there, a lot of their viewers kind of left. They all left them for other channels. They only have a small, 1,000 people in each videos that comes back to them. And those are people who are loyal to them. And that's the type of thing you kind of do want, but you don't want exactly. You do want people who are, like a lot of people who are loyal to you, who will come to your videos. But at the same time, you don't want them to come for a channel that's pretty much dying and heavily reliant on this, trendy thing that actually used to be very prominent. It's a reason why you should make content specifically for people for your community that you have been, heavily growing. Because the more that grows, the more you grow in this position, allowing you to actually make this career an actual job, because people who are loyal to you will actually be willing to actually spend money on you to help, spend money on you to help speed up the process. And speeding up the process gives you more motivations to keep pushing out more content, making it fast, getting the money you need for any other purposes, and stuff like that. It's honestly is the reasons why I do see YouTube as a bit favorable for people who are starting out as a creator, or mostly a creator, not influencer, but whatever. But I just can't see any other places for many of these young kids to try to get into, because a lot of them are impossible, and I feel like they are just dreaming way too hard, and I can't blame them. A lot of these creators make what they do very glamorous and seems so simple and easy, even though it's more complicated when you actually think about the finer details and the art that they craft. It's the main reasons why I feel like a lot of these youngsters should focus on getting an actual job. And if they are serious with this, they actually should test the water and see how far they can make it in the ocean, because a lot of them are going to fucking drown. A lot of them. Like there's not going to be any of these any of these fishes from the lake are not going to make it. They're just going to drown. They're just gonna be vulture food. It's sad, It's very sad. But what do you expect when it comes to this generation?